Hello, welcome back to the So You Wanna Play Najdorf series after our short break. In these videos, as I've promised, we're going to see the Black Pawn Storm, which is generally easier to comment on here because generally it is 2 pawns against 3 pawns, white free pawns, so there are less possibilities and there are thus less ways of pawns storming the white's castling, long castling of course. In order to see this, I have chosen a game of playing the Bundesliga in 1995 by William Watson and Robert Kuczynski, both players that I didn't know before, but both are over 2500 ELO, that is Grandmaster rating, and played a very instructive game, really wonderful, especially from the black side. It was the one that won. And this game totally exemplifies the tension and the pawn storming race that it is produced on both sides of the board. I'm not going to focus very much on variations or the actual, psychology of the players in these positions, because I just take the game that was actually played as an example, just to see the moves we are commenting on are not just theoretical freakness or some computer only moves or things like that, but things that are in the actual praxis of the Grandmaster game and amateurs alike, of course. Let's step little further to in theory, and we have the same English formation that allows the pawn storming as white you have already seen, centralizing of black's pieces, white trying to get the diagonals for himself, and beginning of the pawn storm, the short castle that is going to make possible for these pawns to raise, and our heavy artillery to come out to confront the white's castling, and white trying to dynamize its position and also minimize the risks that a naked king could have if he stayed in here. Queen c7, this is not the main move in the pawn storming variations of these lines, but the main move is b5 here outright, but well, it's going to transpose anyway. There are not many important things we are going to see now about the move order. I'm just going to tell that the Queen c7 in the 11th move or in the or later, it doesn't matter, is aimed at still keeping control of b6, take an eye at c5. Also, if white queen is removed from here, getting out of the side of rook d1, and also preventing a possible hop, as we have seen in the videos we've made before, hop of knight c5 that can centralize or attack this bishop that is generally important while defending or attacking in some lines, and also preparing a battery in here just to attack this. That's why the Kim b1 prophylactic move is so useful in these variations, sometimes as just preventing a threat, other times as a high class way to move, as it's been already called. But there are also other interesting possibilities for the 11th black move, which is b6, that arises a not so sharp position but more strategical ones, with not pawn storm in mind but a tense battle for the center, a long struggle in the flanks but without the aggressiveness of the lines we are going to see, that even though it deserves as much as any other line some treatment, at least we ain't going to have it now. This is also possible, and I want to comment because it's quite an astonishing move, especially the first time we see it. That is g6, aiming to prevent when pawn comes in here, aiming to prevent the castle to be totally broken, with a push in here sometimes when it's able, or just to fix the structure so that white can't attack it. And in some other lines, for example king b1 or the normal development, when it gets to the time of the clash in here, just to have the pawn handy in g6 to be pushed, as I have said, when threats around this diagonal disappear, so that white can no longer set up an attacking formation in the king side. We may wonder, of course, what happens if bishop comes here to h6 in some lines in here after the g6 push. Black sacrifices the exchange and gets not only less tension from white's attack, but also a lot of counterplay if then manages to open diagonals, because the black square bishop from white won't be able to defend, because it won't be on the board at all anymore. Going back to the actual game, after queen c7, this maze we have created h4, we have already seen that g5 is the more popular push, because if white tries to get the full pawn storm with h4, h5, g5, generally it ain't going to have time enough to get the full pawn storm before it gets mated on the other side of the board. But I know I've been through the same position with white, with black, and sometimes white player here wants to have the full beautiful strategically unflawed pawn storm, but there are generally, as the example we find in this game, generally not enough tempi for white to do so. That's why the g5 push is more popular. But anyway, b5, h5, b4, and this one, of course, one of the most critical moments. The plan so far with black is to, because this square is attacked twice by white, is to push b4, not only to the obvious threat of cleaning this diagonal, removing defenders, but also because we need to have some protection here before we push before, and once before is removed, also very important to get this a5 square controlled, so that white's knight doesn't come here and blocks the whole pawn storm. And now white has to take some serious decisions, because, for example, we are going to see how many possibilities we have with the knight. After knight a5, we as black can take total control of the center with d5, and after, say, g5, for example, d4, opening diagonals, and not only owning the center but also having a powerful attack. We know that it's very useful to have the pawns set up as to aim a formation in which our bishops are pointing in the direction of the opposite castle, and are the pawns, I mean, not blocking but even helping the movement of this pawn. So this would be like an ideal position for a black Najdorf player. Say, for example, knight d4, knight takes d4, as we are going to lose a piece. Better lose one of the pieces rather on the rim of the board. And after it takes d4, for example, before it looks like, well, we have removed the tension as white, but after, for example, knight e5, black still has a powerful attack. If after g5 white wants to play, instead of g5, white wants to play it takes d5, with knight takes d5 we are centralizing even more our pieces in a beautiful way, and in not letting white many chances to not only to defend but also to develop an attack.